Hello and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am thrilled to be joined by these two amazing human beings, Jennifer Jurkofsky.
Hello, hello.
And we have Gerald from Tarot Stash.
Hello.
So,
Thanks for having me.
welcome to everyone. We're always excited to do this show together. We all get a little, we're going to do the show. So how is everybody doing today? Because it's been quite a week. We didn't talk about what we do.
Oh.
Do we want to talk about what we do?
They know what we do.
They know what we do?
We can talk about what we do. I don't care.
What do you do? Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. What do you do?
At Twillow Lifestyle? We do stuff. Yeah.
when that's the answer, it's we can talk about it.
I have
So-
broken Jen.
That's good. She's funny when she's like this. We have giggle fests on occasion.
Yes, I've been the cause of a few of them.
You have, yeah. So I do energy healing stuff, and I do crystal stuff, and I'm a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess, and I do channeling and oracle stuff. And yeah, I'm a Galactic Ambassador. I do that kind of stuff. Jen, what kind of stuff do you do?
I do registered psychotherapy and counseling and intuitive life coaching, and I do human design stuff and Enneagram stuff, and I do all the energy stuff, and yeah.
She does stuff. We like her stuff.
Yes.
And we also like Gerald's stuff.
Thank you.
What stuff does Gerald do?
Gerald does tarot readings. He likes to collect tarot cards. He has a tendency to say hi to the best chatter and things like that.
Ooh.
You know, all of that. And
He is a
also-
talented artist.
I do visual arts. I also do Akashic Records stuff
Mhm.
and things that bring me joy. So that's what I do.
Awesome.
So
We are super happy and excited to be bringing you stuff today.
I like Kaylee Fogo Pogo's definition of stuff.
Stuff. Where are we here? Soulful things, universally fantastic and fun. I love that.
I love it. I will be
Perfect.
right back. I think the dogs are getting into stuff.
Oh, okay. So we'll put her on pause. Stuff. We like stuff.
I like that.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Yes.
And it has indeed been intense.
Mm-hmm.
This is Monica. Hey, Monica. So yes, it has indeed been intense in terms of the energy for the last week.
Uh-huh.
We actually have had, I actually got the screen ready this time to show you for what we have, but you don't need to see my Facebook. There we go. We actually have had quite the Schumann resonance. You'll see here, this is all huge spikes in Schumann resonance. We had a little bit of a quieter half a day, and then we went into blackout. Blackout is often because it goes too high and they can't register it. So
Fascinating.
we had 30 hours of blackout, which is pretty, like, it's cool because it's all happening for us, not to us, right? So if you look at the Schumann here, this is the long range one, right? So we've had some really big activity in here. These here were caused by some solar storms that were coming. So we had, or that came, I should say. So we had, as you can see here, X3.3 solar flare on Friday. That's huge. Okay. So that was some of those big spikes you were seeing.
Okay.
On Sunday, we had an M9, which is pretty close to an X. So again, quite a high one. And new coronal mass ejections to look at on Saturday. So there was all sorts. Plus we had the new moon as well.
Yep.
And so all of that combined together, we have had an awful lot of activity. You'll see here, we've got these spikes. This is the average here. This spike here was up to 65. This one's over 80 since the beginning of the year. So there's been a lot of stuff in the energies.
Oh, yeah.
In the last week in particular.
Yes. And it's residual from Imbolc or Imulk, Candlemas, Breed's Day, whatever, and Lunar New Year. So absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we have Valentine's Day and some other stuff coming up.
The Lunar New Year and it's the Year of the Dragon.
Year of the Wood Dragon, yes.
So that started as well.
Yes.
So there's just a whole bunch.
And Mardi
of
Gras.
activity.
Mardi Gras is starting.
Oh, well, that'll be in the collective.
So.
Yikes.
It's nuts.
You're on mute, honey. We see the mouth moving. We still can't hear you.
We tease her, telling her that she is on mute, and she doesn't unmute.
Yeah,
Is this a statement?
I want you all to learn how to lip read. So I was going to do the whole thing on mute.
That's great. Thanks for that opportunity.
That's just my oblivion.
I think we might have to have subtitles for some of us. Like me. Just saying. Before we get into that, let's say hello to a few people. Because we've got, like you said, the best chatters, right?
Yes, best chatters.
And we have Fogo Pogo. So, hey, Kaylee, thanks for joining us. She's sending some love and light. And we have Joyful Journey. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
Hey,
and we have this guy, Tarot Stash, on here. He keeps talking. Ooh, I don't know.
Mods.
We have Pamela. Hey, Pamela, thanks for joining us. Great to see you here. And who else have we got on here? Oh, well, we have Monica, right? She said a few hello. That's Monica. We have Brenda on. Hello, Brenda. Thanks for coming on. We have Kylie. Whoops. I think is that Kylie? That's not Kylie. This is Kylie.
That's Kylie.
Who's the Ola? Ola is from Sylvie. So hello, Sylvie. Where are we? There we are. And actually, this hello is from Julie. So hey, Julie, thanks for joining us. That's awesome. And yeah, so we've got lots of people on today. So that's exciting. And this show, we like to have lots of conversation with our peeps. So, feel free to put questions and whatnot. We're not doing card readings. This is not a reading show, but if there's questions that come up for you about spiritual stuff, then let us know and we can try and answer those questions. Okay. Yep. Jen, would you like to tell everybody what's going on in the human design transits, please?
Sure. So last time I think we would have ended with the one that we're in right now, which is 49, because we were going into it, and it actually tomorrow we're going to be switching. So I'm just going to touch on it really briefly. If you want to understand the last week, you can always look at last week's. But so yeah, right now we're just at the tail end of the 49. So the 49 is it's revolution or principles. So we're going from this place of the shadow of reaction to the gift of resolution and the siddhi of rebirth, right? So just as a quick kind of overview, again, it's really about kind of looking at what's important to us and how do we want to move in that direction, right? So from like an acceptance and commitment therapy standpoint, we're looking at the ACT life map, right? What is important to me? What gets in the way of me being able to go in that direction? And, what are my responses that kind of throw me completely off track, right? And then into what do I really want to do to have that committed action to move towards what I want? And that's really the energy that we've been in this last week, is kind of going, how do I want to create change in my experience? What needs to be, revolutionized, right? And a lot of times it's as simple as our core beliefs, our patterns, the things that come up in our day-to-day lives. Those things also sometimes need a little bit of a revolution.
They do indeed.
Yes.
So from an energy standpoint, that's getting rid of those blocks, the energetic blocks. Yeah. Correct?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And, now we're going to be moving into, so as of tomorrow until the 19th, we're going into the gate 30. So here's the image for the 30. And this is the clinging fire, right? This one is, again, okay, so the shadow aspect of this is desire. And then the gift is lightness, and the siddhi is rapture. And this is about recognition of feelings. And I think it's a really important piece to note. We talk about desire and immediately people kind of go into certain types of desire, as opposed to understanding the nature of desire as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I highlighted a quote from Richard because I wanted to make sure I read it to you guys. So Richard Rudd, who does the Gene Keys, he said, to understand the 30th shadow, we will have to strip desire down to its essence. And this means detaching the force of desire from its projection into the world. Okay, so as the pure phenomenon, desire simply is genetic hunger, right? So understanding that we have this kind of deep connection physically, but desire alone is not responsible for our individual survival, right? So really understanding that the purpose behind desire is to help us evolve. The problem is that we end up in this kind of victim place where desires in the worldly sense take over, and then we end up just being either flippant about things or really over serious about what we want in our experience. Right? And so we end up in this place of grasping, and this kind of attachment to a manifested need throws everything off for us, right? And so the idea here is to move into the gift of lightness, right? Which is this detachment from objects of desire, really being able to recognize this longing that we have and allowing that longing to motivate us, but not having it attached to anything specific. Does that make sense, how I'm explaining that? Like, I could want connection in my life and I could have that longing, but I'm not attaching it to have to show up. The Tanis has to talk to me every day in order for me to feel connection.
Right.
Right? I'm not making an attachment to a specific thing
Outcome.
or a specific outcome as how I'm going to fulfill that longing.
So
right?
it's a general rather than a specific.
Yeah, and allowing space for that, right? For things to show up again in that flow space in a natural way, right? And then the siddhi for this is rapture, being able to really tap into that spiritual connection to honor whatever longing is coming in for us. Right? So again, it's this idea of, we talk about on the spiritual journey, not going out, but going in. And that's exactly what it is.
Going in. They have the magic screens.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? So this one, we're in the solar plexus right now. So we're in the emotional energy center of the body. And this particular gate is very much connected to our digestion, right? So when we look at desire and we look at this kind of need to gain these things, one of the questions to ask is like, what am I trying to consume? What am I trying to digest? What am I trying to bring in? Is it actually good for me? Is it not good for me? right? What can I do to really work with this longing that I have in a way that is actually going to move me towards lightness as opposed to heaviness in that sense, right? And able to allow my system to process and to flow and to feel good and connected. Not, when I think of digestion, I'm like, not bloated and crampy and backed up and all of those things, right? And so when we get caught up in things having to be very set in a certain way in that grasping place, we really limit, right? And we limit our ability to navigate and to digest and to deal with. So just notice what's coming up for you as we move into this energy, and what can we, what can we release an expectation around, but still hold that longing for and allow it to come in a way that's flow and light.
It's really about trusting in process, right? Trusting in divine timing and all of that beautiful stuff.
I want to say, piggyback off of something that you said, Jen. Instead of releasing that expectation, let's start with noticing that we have an expectation.
Yes.
Because for me, I can't release something until I go, well, holy crap, that's what that is. That has been showing up a lot.
Yeah.
And then I can start to connect it. And I know Jen and Tanis, both of you, if you've ever spent any time with these amazing people, they're very helpful and very kind with helping you notice what's going on. They're not going to tell
That's
you.
his way of saying, we call you on it.
One of the things I say to clients all of the time when they go like, what's this work, or what is it that we have to do, or how's this going to unfold? And I said, the biggest thing is to start observing. If you can observe and you can notice, that's all you have to do, because from there, everything unfolds.
A mentor that I had when I was taking postgraduate work said, noticing is the key. And if you notice, we want to notice as close to in the moment as possible of what's going on. But at one point I remember him saying, I had this thought about something that happened about 6-7 years earlier. And he's like, going, good. That is still important. So don't discount that, because, the time continuum is just weird.
Yeah.
Well, there is no time and space, so it doesn't matter really. Right?
Yes.
Our brain likes it to be linear, so trying to do it sooner than later is good, but
yes,
we can visit anytime we want.
We can reframe anything we want. We can adapt our reality to be whatever we really truly want as we move through things. And that is an incredible power.
Yes.
Right. One of the quotes that Richard says for this transit is, it's not that you become helpless in a victim state, but that you realize that you are beyond needing help. Right. Really coming into this place of understanding, we are powerful, powerful beings.
We are.
Just have to do this thing to know that we're powerful.
Yes.
You guys, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that, so we won't do it again today. Check the other issues, the other episodes.
Doing it with my tiny hands.
I wonder how it would work with the tiny hands. We'll have to try that sometime. Maybe not today. But I want to say hello to Twisted Sushi. Hello. Nice of you to join us. And this one here, we have Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan.
Hello.
Jonathan Galui from Florida. And we have Rachel. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Great to have you on. And this is Julie. Truth, powerful beings. Thank you.
Yes.
So, Gerald, what's in the cards for this week?
I'm going to look specifically at Radical Abundance cards, because this is a time, I think, when we all need that. And I have a new microphone, so I'm trying to be... Is that too loud?
Just shuffle away, man. Shuffle
Just go
away.
ahead. Go for it. It's good.
All
It's
right.
not super
Hold-
loud. We just hear it. That's all.
Okay.
But it's not loud.
Is this super loud?
We hear it, but it's not loud.
Okay. This is me being aware that I'm like going, is everything working?
Test, test, test. Yes, no, everything's good.
So I was telling Tanis and Jen, I had an opportunity to be part of someone's next level in his spiritual awakening, which was a great gift. And I think, well, okay, that needs to be two. It's really ASMR. The first card that comes up, and it relates to what was said earlier, powerful beings, power.
Mhm.
With power comes responsibility. And that responsibility, if we let it, can be overwhelming.
Mhm.
If we understand that the power is a natural part of what happens with our decision making, it shifts, it changes. We also have to, these two popped out at the same time, fantasy and credibility. So I mean,
Fantasy goes along with that desire thing.
yes, and I think it's also an important thing to give your desires some credit. Just don't, they don't need to, go completely gung-ho. And ice cream is always a good thing if you can eat ice cream.
As long as you're not lactose intolerant.
As long as you're not lactose intolerant. But the other thing is I think it's one of those things.
Digestion issue happens.
Do what?
I said then that digestion issue.
We cannot make this stuff up.
We have a suggestion for sorbet instead.
Sorbet. I like a good sorbet. Yes.
Sorbet works.
But keep this in mind. I think for me, I can only speak for myself. I don't slow down enough to look at my small successes.
Yeah.
And to honor those. I'm looking at the big successes. I'm not paying attention to the mile markers. And therein lies part of it. Let's slow down long enough to go, all right, I've gotten out of bed. Woo! Or I've completed painting that room.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be very realistic. And I think it goes back to Tanis, that idea of so much energy flow is coming.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we can notice that, it gives ourselves permission to access our different aspects of power, because I mean, we all have different aspects of power, and those things are always growing and evolving. So allow them, embrace them. And I don't know about you, but I want complete enlightenment yesterday. Doesn't work that way.
Divine timing.
Well, divine timing works. I need to, if you want divine timing to work, you have to, do you remember watches where you actually had to wind them?
Yeah,
You have to you have to show up. You have to practice gratitude. You have to talk to your ancestors, your guides, your angels, whatever they are. Talk to each other, talk to yourself with all the right things.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
but okay, end rant.
I think it bears, if you're talking about power, it also bears that conversation about power from within, or empowerment, versus power over too, right?
True.
So just as a side mention, and we'll just say hello to Tarot Your Way.
Hi, Thomas. Yes, very
hey, Thomas.
good.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
great to see you.
Well, and it's such an interesting thing, right? In the Sufi tradition, we talk about like divine longing and the mystical death, like they die before you die, and all of those kinds of things. And it's really this power of, once we get out of our own individualized sense of what we want, we tap into that collective, and that's really the energy of the transit that we're going into. It's about how do we help the collective, with these things that we want to bring in. And so it's not really about this individualized sense. So power over would never work in that way, right? And that's that kind of a tied to the shadow aspect of it. And then moving from that into the gift aspect of it, which is the power to bring about. And then the siddhi aspect of it, which is really that power to connect with divine will and divine desire and that divine longing, and what that means to bring that into the world.
Could you remind me what the word siddhi means again, please?
It's like the enlightened state of.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
And the reality is, yeah.
it can
Mm-hmm.
give life or death, or give life or death to your dreams or your thoughts or your desires.
Mm-hmm.
And it also can shift someone who is spiraling downward. It can give them an opportunity to stop, and it has the power to change things. Definitely.
For sure. And then Julie says, try to operate from your heart center more often, not so much, not your ego so much. Exactly.
Exactly. One thing I want to point out as we were with the siddhi piece, just because I think that sometimes, especially on the spiritual path, we get really caught up in wanting to be in the enlightened state and wanting to stay there, and that being our reality. And even when Richard, talks about these states, one of the things that he emphasizes and that I really appreciate is that we're here to move between the shadow and the gift and to tap into the siddhi, right? We're not here to live in that state all of the time. We're here to work through stuff, right? Yeah. And ultimately our goal is to be able to embrace our shadow and realize our gift, right? And in doing that, we can touch the siddhi, right? But it's not about trying to stay in that place all the time, because that's not what we're here for.
No, we're here to learn, right? So that's what our whole goal is. Quick, I missed this one. This is Estella. So hello, Estella.
Hi.
Just want to make sure we get everybody in. Mm-hmm. So do we want to pick a word?
Do we want to? I brought these ones out in case we want to do them.
Should we pick a word?
Yeah, let's do it.
So as per our usual, we usually grab a word and then talk about it. I think last week we just talked the whole thing about the whole transits and we went on this.
And then we ended up picking the card at the end and it matched.
Yeah, indeed.
So this is the deck that I've been pulling from here. So let's see what they got.
Yes. With decks. Is this a lesson you've learned now, Gerald?
It is a lesson. I am
Not
encouraging.
I got a new deck this week.
We did, maybe. Where can I ask for more help in my life?
It's been coming up for me this week, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Until we receive with an open heart, we're never really giving with an open heart. When we attach judgment to receiving help, we knowingly or unknowingly attach judgment to giving help. That's a quote from Brene Brown, actually. And the soul action is today, ask someone for help and receive it with an open heart. And the mantra for today, I ask for what I want and am open to receiving it.
Well, and that kind of goes with what you were talking about as well, right? Because you can ask for what you want and then let go of the outcome.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a neat thing, because to be able to do that and to be open to receiving it is, again, that not setting parameters on how it's received, right? That's exactly this idea of judgment around it. That's such an important piece. I remember talking to a friend and, they were in the hospital and they just had visitors constantly and all of this stuff. And they were so much love, right? So much love. And at one point they were like, I just don't feel loved. It's like, what's going on with that? And there was a very specific thing that they wanted to happen in order to feel loved in that moment.
Oh.
And because that specific thing didn't happen, they actually missed feeling all of the love and connection that was being given to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's such an important thing to realize, what kind of limits are we putting on our ability to even receive these things? And are we truly open to receiving however the universe brings it to us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like the love languages, right? Because it's love you're talking about in that example. We give and receive love in different ways. And so if you're expecting it to be given as gifts and you're getting it as physical touch or whatever it is, it may not be the same love language. So you miss the message in terms of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also think, I think about the Five of Pentacles in the tarot. The Five of Pentacles is a card about needing help. It's also a card about offering help and being willing to do both of those. And, from a personal standpoint, I know in my thought, back in the day, you were weak if you asked for help. When in fact the opposite is true.
Mm-hmm.
I think the strongest people know when they need help. The strongest people are willing to ask for help and willing to accept it. Because when we ask people for help, we give someone else an opportunity to share of themselves. And that may be exactly what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if we don't ask for help, then we are saying, nope, I'm not engaging that at all. And therefore there are ramifications for that.
Yeah.
And just with everything, I can offer people help and they can say no. And I say, okay, it's their choice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think, it's important to ask for what you need in terms of help, because not everybody understands exactly what you need. So sometimes you're getting offered help that's not what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just, I need help, but then somebody tries to help you without really delving into that statement, right? They're trying to do this over here, and you need this over here. So it's that can be like a miscommunication. So just looking for clarity in terms of that as well on both sides.
That's where a lot of unnecessary struggle happens, because we are not noticing, we're not seeing in the moment, or willing to say, I need help. And somebody says, well, I can do this. It's like, wait a minute. I don't know what help I need.
Mm-hmm.
Therein
That's
lies,
the other
that's
thing.
extremely powerful. It's just like going, I get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And a good friend, I will like on, Jeffrey will sometimes say, what do you need? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment of pause when it's like, I understand he gets it, because he's stopped and he's like going, okay, he doesn't know what he needs. And there's that moment of just sitting in the same space. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, may I offer some suggestions?
Yep.
As a friend, because if you're overwhelmed, you may not think of that.
Yes.
But asking permission to offer the suggestions is important too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Pogo says, I'll ask for help, but then think people are mind readers, or that they should be, then get frustrated when they can't. Exactly.
Hi, I am seen. I understand exactly what you mean, Kaylee.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Carla. Thank you for joining us.
Carla?
And we have Jacqueline Richards.
Hey, Jack.
Hey,
Magic
Jack.
Greens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing to just and then we had, I think one of our first ones with Gerald was about holding space, right?
I think it was. Yeah.
And really, being able to hold space for ourselves, for what we need, for others, and being able to be in that place of just, it's okay, I'm here.
Mhm.
If you don't know what you need, that's okay,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I'm reminded of Winnie the Pooh, right?
Yes, he does that very well.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that ability to just hold space.
Yep.
Right, and there's so many examples throughout the stories of just being together, right? Just sitting with Eeyore, or Piglet just spending time with Pooh, right? Like these kind of moments where it's okay to not know, right? But just know that I care.
Well, and
Yeah, so
Eeyore
important.
may not have always been the easiest, character to be around, yet they always invited Eeyore.
Mm-hmm.
They always included. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Read the front of that card again,
The front, it just says,
please.
where can I ask for more help in my life?
So where are some places that you guys ask for help?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find you need help? And where do you look for it? That's what I'm going to put out to the audience today.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of help do you find you need, and where are you looking for it? Because maybe we can offer suggestions to each other in the chat about where to find help.
Yeah. I know.
Is it support? Is it physical? Is it, what kind of help do you often find you need?
Making sound decisions.
Oops. Making sound decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's Rachel. Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she says, I do have a support group.
Mm-hmm.
That's very helpful.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I know for me, paying attention to the rhythms of my life, I'm a hardcore extrovert. I know, shock runs through the crowd.
You're an extrovert?
I know it's terribly surprising, but I think it's one of those things for me. It very much is. I am better to do things with people. It's like if Jeffrey is around and he helps me do something, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I need that group effort to start me. So
Kind of emotional support then, in terms of that? Or is it physical?
I think
Or is
it's
it
a
both?
physical. I think it's a bit of, well, let's just go ahead and do this. It's because once I get started, then I'm good to go. But it's that moment of, I just need to get up off of the couch and start to do something, and then that energy is plugged in. So yeah.
So it's more of a help for motivation to get things going.
Help for motivation, yes. Yes.
And we have here to have space in my glass so I can retain more knowledge. So this, I believe, is Monica. Got this kind of in there, but it's sort of, I'm not sure where we're only getting some of the questions, some of the comments on my screen here. I think this is Jonathan saying help to stay grounded. All right. Awesome. And Romania. Awesome. Thank you. Guidance from above. I did tarot readings for the first time in decades the other day. That was Sylvia. Awesome.
Very exciting. Love that.
Twisted Sushi needs help coping with roommates. Kaylee, lately seeing my own inner strength, dealing with emotion, resting and going easier on myself. Thankfully, I've found an amazing group of people who've been able to help.
Wonderful.
That's good.
Awesome. Trusting the universe more. That's Monica.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing how, and I find this for myself and with clients often, but our ability to just kind of voice what we need helps to make it more attainable in some way, right? When it's just this kind of need that we have or something that we want, but we're holding it in, it's like, I'm never going to find that. I'm never going to get that support. I'm never going to get that help, right? But the moment that it's voiced, it's like, you know what, this can, I can work on grounding. I can work on communication. I can work on connection. I can work on trusting myself more, right? Trusting the universe more. Like, these are all things that, we have the ability to do and to tap into.
Yeah.
Big hello to Shelley.
Hello.
Shelley.
Who says her kin. I most often ask my guides for help when I think that no one else is around me. They can help. And that is Julie. I need help deciding if I should move or not. I found a place a month from now. Okay, that's Rachel. And we have Helena. Hello, Helena. Thank you for joining us. Saying it out loud makes it tangible, not just a dream or idea. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's true.
And we've got Brenda. Hello.
Hello.
Love you as well. Thank you.
Well, and also I think that idea of saying it out loud, it gives us the opportunity to go, really? Is that what I need? That's all I need? Oh, I can do that. Or there's no way in heck I can do that. I need some help. So some people are really good at the clarity. I am good at clarity after I've overlapped it and overcomplicated it multiple times and put it in a blender and poured it out on a piece of canvas and drawn on it. It makes sense to me. However, I don't take that time to always do that. So,
Yeah. Well, one thing I say so often is, as long as it's just rolling around in our mind, anything can make sense and we can convince ourselves of anything. And normally that's not in a great way, right? But the moment that we say it out loud or write it down, we have to actually look at it and go, is this really true?
yes.
Is this really what I want? Is this really what I need? And, a lot of times we'll actually go, no, this isn't what it actually is. And then we have to take it deeper and go, okay, what is it really? Right? And then we do it again and we take it deeper until we actually get to what's going on. And sometimes we'll look at it and go, oh, that story made so much sense in my mind, but I know that's not real. I know that's not true.
Right? It sounded better on the inside before I said it out loud.
Yeah. And in that moment, what we need is something maybe completely different than what we've been telling ourselves we needed that whole time.
Yes.
Well, and sometimes it's like I take my clients through the root cause analysis, right? It's actually a business thing, but I'll take my clients through it, right? So why do you feel that way? Why is that coming up for you? And root cause analysis is 5 whys. So instead of just stopping, you're digging. Why is this happening? Why do you feel that way? Why is that important? Why does that matter? Right? Digging through it all helps you to get to the root of whatever it is that's coming up for you.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think too, it also can depend on the person's processing style, because some people need to hear it because they're auditory. Some people need to see it.
Yes.
Because they're visual, and some people need to actually write it out, right? Like a journal, because they're kinesthetic. So I think it's helpful to know what kind of person you are, what kind of learner you are, because that can help you. Because it really is a learning journey, right? Our whole healing journey is a learning journey. So it is about learning.
Very
And this
true.
is where authorities come in too, in the human design side of things, right? Is really knowing what resonates for you on a deep genetic level. Right? Do you need to have that gut response? Do you need to wait and feel the emotions before clarity is going to come? Because then any work you do, you ain't going to get there until you've ridden that wave, right?
And the waves can be all different lengths.
Yeah. Right? Is there... So following that and understanding what that is can also be a really powerful tool. Right? And some people do have to actually voice it, and not because they want advice from somebody else. They actually have to hear themselves say it and then go, oh yeah, that's my truth, or oh no, that's not my truth.
Well, and that's where some people need to just have an ear, right?
Yes.
And you hold space.
Yes.
You don't have to answer them. You just have to hold space for them and allow them to talk through it. I've had clients come in and they sit down, and I usually have a chat with them before we do the energy healing just to see where they're at. And so they start talking, and they just keep talking, and I just listen. And then they're like, okay, thanks. I feel much better. I'm like, well, do you want to? Because I'm not a psychologist. I never said a thing. I just sat there and listened. But that was what they needed at the time.
Yes.
They just needed me to hold space.
Well, and I think that's a beautiful example, because I'm getting partial downloads, so excuse me if I phase out. Because sometimes we don't have the language to express what it is that we need, and we don't. When we get it, it's sort of like a fire hose.
Yeah.
That's overwhelming, usually for the person. It's overwhelming for me when that happens for me, that somebody's listening and I'm gushing out. But also as the person who's holding space, it's like, okay, this is a lot. And sometimes saying that's a lot is exactly what needs to be said. You point out the obvious.
Yes.
Well, it gives them validation, because oftentimes if they need that kind of space, they need somebody to hold space for them.
Yes.
It's because they're feeling that overwhelm. It is like that the bucket comment that we had earlier, right? Having space in your bucket. So if you don't have space in your bucket, you can't take on any more. Whereas if you're given the space to release some of that, then all of a sudden you've got more space in your bucket, and you can be like, okay, I can breathe, right?
So when that happens, that's the blackout of the Schumann.
It is. Yeah.
So
we need more space in the bucket.
We need more
space in the bucket, but we don't know what to do with all of that.
Yeah.
So it just sort of short circuits, and then it refreshes, and I have to remind myself that it's okay. I have to cut myself a freaking break.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So.
And the overwhelm is feeling that way lately because we have so much happening. I was watching a video the other day that was talking about all of the stuff that's actually happening to our physical bodies from the energetics that are happening on the earth right now. And I was like, whew, no wonder we're all exhausted, because it was a lot. There was a lot of that feeling overwhelmed, and it's because really there is a whole shift in the DNA happening within us. In order to accommodate this higher vibration on the earth, our bodies have to change, because we've run at that lower vibrational frequency for so long that they have adapted to that. Now we need to run at a higher frequency, so our bodies actually need to adapt to a higher frequency. So physically there is a change. So just like when we have a physical illness or some kind of change in our bodies, we have to adjust, right? You have a cold, you have to sleep. You have to be gentle with your body. And so we really need to do that overall.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, and that overwhelm, I mean, if you think about it, so anybody who is highly sensitive, anybody who's, any of the clairs, basically, empathic,
Yeah,
any of that kind of stuff,
absolutely.
right? We're not only are we sensitive to what's going on inside of us, but we're sensitive to all of these other things around us. And I know for myself, like, and I'll do this with my kids. I'm like, I'm overstimulated right now. I can't take on anything else. I literally feel like I'm crawling. There's so much stimulation happening.
Mhm.
And I have to take that step away and release this energy and process everything, because
Yes.
I can't carry it all.
Mhm.
And I know that I can't carry it all. And so really honoring that when that comes up and taking that time, like it's necessary. Like it can't continue on without doing that, because otherwise it's like complete shutdown.
Mhm. Well, and you're
Yeah,
normalizing it. You're normalizing it for your children so that they
yes,
can do it.
yeah, which is
That's-
great.
Yeah.
And actually, so we'll see you later, Twisted Sushi. But that's what I do sometimes when I'm overwhelmed. Have a nap.
Oh, I totally do that.
Hmm. I remember I came home from somewhere the other day, and I was like, there was a lot of very loud people, so it was a very busy sort of atmosphere. And I got in the car afterwards, and I was just like, I just can't. And I burst into tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I
Mhm.
realized it was just this. I can't hold that energy anymore. Like I need to release some of this energy. It was too much coming at me. It was the overwhelm of the
Well,
energy.
and that I applaud you for allowing those tears to come out, because I know from chatting with you and interacting with you, tears are a release. They're it's just an energy release.
It is.
And so I think we can honor ourselves by knowing what way we release.
Yeah. And we're
So
going to release, different days you release in different ways. I release a lot in my sleep as well. So I
yeah.
do the nap thing. But there's times when it's like, okay, my bucket is full. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Those
Yeah.
times when you're like, okay, overstimulated.
Oh yeah.
So you need to have for me, the tears are like a quick release. They happen quickly so I can release and get back on with stuff. Naps take a little longer, but they work too.
Yeah. And I'm somebody who I can't nap unless I'm sick. I
Yeah.
can lay down, but I just don't, if the sun is out, I don't fall asleep. That's just the way it is for me.
Mhm.
So I do practices to help release, right? Because I know that that's just not a way that is going to work for me. So I can't use that tool. So really identifying the tools that work for you
Mhm.
and then using them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So even things like essential oils or crystals can really help. Like this little beauty,
Ooh.
not sardonyx, septarian. There's three that I always like get confused in my head.
Mhm.
So septarian. I had a reaction one time. I was holding something like this, a big rose quartz flame, and I picked it up. And obviously, I was needing to work through some heart chakra stuff. And all of a sudden, I was like overwhelmed. I was like crying, and I'm like, And my friend handed me this, and she's like, "Here, hold on to this." And it was like right away, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah. I like that.
oh, cool." So use the tools that you have. So like crystals, essential oils,
Yeah.
breathing, right? The pranayama stuff. Yeah, square breath. Or your basic exercise, Jen. That's also a good one.
Yeah. Somatics are
that
really good
overwhelm.
for it too. If that's something that you're interested in, energy medicine stuff, there's so many different things out there that we can use or tap into to really be able to help with that piece. But going back to the card, one of the other pieces is asking for help.
Yeah.
Like I know we've talked about it before, but I have a very busy house. And
Mhm.
takes way more energy than what little projector me has in a day to manage. Right. And so I do ask for help, and my family is aware that well, my youngest is also a non-sacral, but everybody else is, little energizer batteries that are running all over the place.
including the dogs.
Yeah. And so knowing that, right, I can say, I don't have capacity right now
Yes.
to take on anything else.
Mhm.
And that can be honored. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, someone's asking, what does it mean to be non-sacral?
So in human design, it doesn't mean that I don't have a sacral. We all have it. It just means that mine is undefined. So I don't have unlimited access to energy all the time.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. And Rachel says one of the main things for her is taking a bath or hot shower or strong workout or
Mhm.
massage.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm not a massage person. Like, no.
Are you ticklish?
No,
Oh, you just don't like people touching you.
I ew. No. Oh, excuse me. I have had a couple of massages, but it doesn't necessarily work for me.
Yes.
So,
We are all unique in what works for us.
oh yeah,
For all of these things.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, and yes, I mean, as many different people as there are out there, that's the number of ways that the tools that we have. I think
Exactly.
you really said it nicely. It's like we have to know what works for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then be willing to articulate it.
Yeah.
So
And be willing to do it.
there is that.
Well, and remembering to do it.
Yeah.
Because when we're in overwhelm, we sometimes don't remember what we need.
Oh yeah.
I've had that where I was overwhelmed. I think I've told this story before when Instagram and Facebook went down during COVID.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I didn't know that it was down. I just all of a sudden was hit with all this energy. Didn't know what it was, and I burst into tears going, I don't know why I'm crying. But I forgot that I was supposed to like breathe, grab my crystals, use my tools. I forgot. I had to use my call a friend card for that one.
Good for you.
For them to like say, breathe. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
But again, asking for help.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Reaching
Exactly.
out and going, I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly. So we've got a few things going on here, but massages.
Well, and it's interesting on that whole like being willing to do it or willing to give that to ourselves. So I've had massages in the past, and I know that they're helpful for me. But it's not something that I've ever made it a priority to do. And then I had a lymphatic massage for the first time and went, holy moly, this actually like really helped me. And I thought, okay. And then it was a matter of like, am I willing to give this to myself again?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Am I willing to take time out of my schedule? Am I willing to pay for it? Am I willing to get you right? Like, can I prioritize myself enough to give this to myself, knowing that it's helpful and knowing that it's going to benefit me? Right. And I think that so often is something that comes up for us, especially those of us that are always giving and helping and wanting to do that. Right. We sometimes fall into this pattern. And I say we, because I am very much a victim of it too, where we don't give ourselves the care that we need or ask for it. Right. And so being able to really say like, no, I'm going to do this and I deserve to do this for me. And I am okay with that.
Well, and that's the beauty of that, is because when you do that and you actually schedule it, you do it before you're in a crisis mode.
Yeah.
Those
Yes.
I see my doctors regularly. I call them well baby visits. I
Mhm.
want to be a very boring patient.
Yes.
I don't want anything exciting associated with me in a medical office. So it's that idea of, well, I am going to schedule that, or I'm going to go ahead and schedule my next 3 massages. And then that way you honor yourself and they're in your calendar.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's true.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Fascinating. So this brings us to the end of the hour. Would you like to do your little your card there, Jen? The second card that we do?
How do we get here so fast all the time?
I don't know. Sometimes I think we could do 2 hours, but you know what?
We
I
did
don't know
that
whether
once.
We did do that once.
we did. That was a special.
And that even flew.
It did.
All right, guys. What
is the name of this deck again?
Oh, yeah. Let's show it to you guys. This is a beautiful one. It's the Sacred Feminine.
Nice.
Sacred Feminine.
And they have mantras in here for us to follow for the week, I believe.
Okay, so let's see. Some of these are, different. Talking about self-care activities, right? Ways of connecting and don't blame others for your feelings.
Mm.
It's such an amazing thing, right? Because this ability to ask for help and what we were talking about actually communicating, and sometimes even communicating, I don't know what I need, I just need you. Or on the other side of it, I just need to be alone for a minute. Right. But then really holding that space for our own feelings is very much in line with the transits right now too.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see what the card says. All right, here we go. So let's hold this up for you guys as I read it. All right. Don't blame others for your feelings. In the spirit of conflict, it is easy to see the folly of another person's actions. Sorry, guys.
Including the dogs.
I agree with what you're saying.
Confirmation.
It is not easy to see our own foolishness. Take responsibility for your actions, grandchild. What are you feeling, and how have you made those feelings someone else's fault? Your feeling body is sacred and cannot be handed over to another. It is yours alone to experience and learn from. Have you rejected a part of yourself that is showing up in another? The Sacred Mother is the carrier of rejected parts. You can help lessen her burden by taking back yours. Another person may be a catalyst for your hurtful experience, but no other person is able to make you feel something. You are the sole creator of your inner world. If you feel wronged, explore how you wronged yourself or your boundaries. If you feel abused, find out what ways you abuse yourself. The scenario will not be exactly as you see it outside yourself. Grandchild, trust that there is a key or a teaching in your projection that leads to a greater understanding of who you are.
And we talk about that a lot on this show.
A lot.
That our emotions are, signposts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And in the spirit of being able to ask for, wonderful. Yeah. To be able to ask for what we want and to be open to receiving it, and then noticing that pain or that suffering that comes if it's not received a certain way, or if somebody can't show up for us the way we want them to, right? So just noticing all of these different things that come in and going, okay, right? How do I show up for me? And I think that's another big piece of this that we kind of tapped on, but not really, about asking for help, right? Sometimes I think, and I know for myself, I'll just plow through something instead of going, Jen, stop.
Yeah.
What do you need to do for yourself right now? right? Can I help myself even in that moment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good one. We cannot change outside what we haven't changed inside.
Mm-hmm.
It starts inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Absolutely. So, what have we got going on this week? Gerald, what have you got going on this week?
Later today, I have the Mystic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have readings Tuesday at 2 p.m. with medium Betsy Palmer and Hershey, the Shadow Reader. And
Awesome.
then Jamie and I are doing 13 signs, 26 spreads where we're talking about Aquarius.
Very good.
And then Thursday, I have Juno on as for a casual. We're chatting and we're getting to know. So, are you in Canada too, Mr. Mustache? I am not in Canada.
Mr. Mustache. It sounds very mysterious.
Mr. Mustache.
That's Rachel.
Yes. Yeah.
She's not in Canada either.
So, what do you have coming up?
Me?
Yes.
I have a day off on Wednesday with friends. Yay. And- which will be fun. I have yoga multiple times with Jacqueline. I don't have a lot of online stuff this week, which is interesting. It's a quieter week for online. It's more practice stuff. I've got a bunch of clients and interviews and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice.
That's what's happening for me. So the next one, I do have some interviews that I'm going to be doing. I've just confirmed a couple of big names for some of the Bridge to the Galaxy. So this month and next month, stay tuned to those because that'll be exciting. It's still a surprise, so I can't tell you yet, but that's coming. So I guess I have that sort of thing. It's like this week is kind of the prep for going forward. That's what's going on for me. Jen, what's going on for you?
Nice.
Well, I don't have a lot of online stuff that I do unless I'm doing it with you guys. So, yeah, I think there's some things coming up in the works that you and I have been talking about.
Yes.
I think, I don't know if we've decided if we're going to do some of it live or just some of it for the membership.
For the membership, yeah, we're redoing. So, thank you for your patience with the membership site, everyone, because we are rejigging it to serve you better. And so we're doing some changes there. So patience, and we'll be, those of you that are on there and have noticed some stagnation over the last 2 months there, we're going to be adding those 2 months on the end of your membership. So not
Could I
to
give
worry.
a little sneak peek of some of the stuff that might be coming? Just going to reach over here.
We had a great chat this week. We were doing
so
some of that stuff.
Each month, Tanis and I are hoping to bring you guys some insights from some of our amazing tools. So there will be a whole lot of really neat practices and tools and things to bring in for the month that you can work on, connect with. So we're hoping that that's going to be a really awesome resource for everybody to feel into and to resonate with and to explore.
Rachel says when she becomes a sound healer, she wants to join our cool club. Perfect. I'm working on my sound healing too.
Nice.
And we have one here. I love these chats you do. Big love to you all. And that's from Mark. So thank you, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Lots of love. And awesome talks. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You guys all
Mhm.
made that awesome too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
We wouldn't do it if you guys weren't here.
No, it'd just be us
Oh.
hanging out all the time.
We'd just be us yakking, you know. We do have the best chatters, don't we?
We really do.
There's a stash tag for them, so of course we have the best chatters.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So there
Awesome.
you go.
So did we cover everything?
I
Good.
think so.
That's great.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So we want to wish everyone an awesome week. And we will see you at our various things along the way.
Yep.
And so thank you so much for joining us. Lots of love, everyone. Take care.
Bye.